This is Project 3 Video 3, the one in which I do the documentation and final touches. Alright. I'm going to call this percent for the comment function. Function nothing equals plot v2 of v comma r1 comma r2. Takes a simple circuit of C to VMF in series with a resistor R1. The C to VMF having potential difference V across its terminals in series with resistor R1 in series with a parallel combination of two resistors R2 and R3, and calculates the voltage across R2 as a function of R3 given the potential difference between the C to VMF, the value of R1, and the value of R2. Plots the voltage across R2 as a function of the value of the resistance, R3. So type all that stuff in there. Make sure you give complete description in your own words. And then percent by Jeffrey Schnick. Don't forget to put your name on it. Then just to make sure the input variables, these are the arguments of the functions, and I think I'll put them right there. Control C, Control V. So a little bit redundant. V is this. Say what V is. I'm going to put the percent sign in there to make it a comment, and then percent R1 say, oops, say what R1, in other words, ditto, percent R2 dittos, and then output variables percent there are none. This function returns nothing. I don't think I need a space there. So R3, anybody that knows MATLAB knows what I'm doing there. By the way, when I say plots voltage across V2 as a function of R3, it does so for values of R3 from 0 up to 10 times R2. And then I'm assigning the value of V2 to the variable named V2. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. And then the plot function is self-explanatory. So attributions tell a story here. Tell story about how your code came to exist with an emphasis on emphasis emphasis on how you were helped. Hoping at some point you guys see something new. I'm not so sure you'll see anything new in this. Maybe like linspace. You remember there was some way of creating an ordered array of values, but you forgot how to do it exactly. So you went to the internet and searched on MATLAB create ordered array, and that goes in your attribution. So instead of just watching my videos, you figured it out more or less on your own, but you used resources that are available to anybody in the world, not just those taking my class. Or I guess everybody can see it. My videos on YouTube, but they don't know about them. So we got to doctor up this graph, that's for sure. So we need to title it. I might have to resort to using the internet for help, because I don't really know the name of the command here. I think it's title, but could be title plot or title graph or something like that. And then I really don't know the names of the axes. I think it's X label and Y label. But anyway, what am I graphing here? R sub 3. That's along the x-axis, so it's voltage across R sub 2 versus the value of R3. Okay, let's try that. X label. I'm hoping that's it. And my X label is R3. In units of ohms. So square brackets, not parentheses, and ohms. Let's try that. I'm going to try Control C, Control V for a copy and paste, change that to a Y, change that to a V sub 2, I think we'll call it. And it's in volts. And I think technically unit names are lowercase, unit symbols uppercase. Actually, uppercase Greek omega for ohms. Let's try that. Control S, up arrow, plot it again. And now my graph has more stuff. V sub 2, it looks like 2 prime though. Voltage across R2 versus R3. I think I'm going to try a couple extra spaces there. I see what happened. I put commas inside the quotes, I'll bet. So, yeah, it's not like a separate argument. It's just part of my text. I think I'll see what it looks like with a space. But 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I wanted to say it's the voltage across R2 versus R3, not the voltage across R2 versus R3. So I think that helps to emphasize it. And then, okay, the commas went away. R3 in ohms. 0 up to 10 times R2. Yeah, it looks like it's ending at about 3300. So 3330, that seems right. And then the voltage, I was hitting up to that. I think if I make this 222, then I'll know the voltage should go up to 6 volts. Oops. Up arrow, select 222. Boom. And yeah, if R1 and R2 are the same, then it goes up to half the voltage. V2 in volts versus R3 in ohms. Voltage across R2 versus R3. I think that title looks okay. Alright, so I think I got the graph looking the way it should. I got attribution, name. I got to go through the checklist. I've done the best I can from memory. I'm going to hit Control S to make sure I've saved it. Then open up my checklist. See if they're a complete algebraic solution. Relevant diagrams. Okay, I did that. I remember there was a circuit diagram. For each function and outline of the steps, there's only one function. I did the outline in blue. That was my pencil on paper. That's cool. Program. 1 point for a reasonable attempt. I tried pretty hard. I think we're okay there. Note the warmware.m files. I've saved it as a .m file. I've got to remember to submit it by the deadline. 1 point for a program that works properly. To get this point, you must correctly do what it's supposed to do. And whenever the user runs it, nothing gets printed to the command window. So I run it here and I just get the next line. In this case, because there were no arguments, I don't even need the semicolon, but that's what I had to check according to the checklist. So nothing printed to the command window. So I could mess that up by leaving off a semicolon after this statement or this statement. So for instance, if I leave that one off, it automatically prints out my R3 array. Yeah, there it is. R3 is equal to 1 times 10 to the third times all this stuff. There, all those entries, 101 values. And it's not supposed to do that, so I put a semicolon there to say don't print. Control S, try it again, and it prints nothing. Where's my checklist? Must have your name in it. I remember putting my name in it, so that's cool. Got to be documented comment. Alright. The idea is if somebody types in help, my function, as long as it's in memory, and mine's been run, so it's there. Help. My function name, which was plot v2. I get the description of it. Function nothing does this. Give a complete description in your own words. Okay, that's my description of it. Wouldn't get much credit for that. Like, you'd lose the documentation points if you had typed in that same stuff on yours and without any description of what the function does. I got the input variables, output variables. Yeah, so the documentation is not only there, but I got it in the right spot. Comment starting on the first line of the functions, stating what it does. Okay, I didn't actually write down what it does, but you have to. Another set of comments providing a list of the arguments of the function, the input variables, with beside each argument a statement of what that function is. Got that? I remember doing that. For the case of a function that returns one or more variables, yeah, I made sure I had that covered. Made it clear to somebody that's trying to use it that it doesn't return anything. Both by, like, I made it self-documenting. I think one time I got a dummy. This time I'm calling it nothing. My return variable is named nothing. It makes it pretty clear to the user right off the bat that this thing does not provide any return variables. So, where am I? Oh, I wanted to look at the checklist again. Anything that's not self-explanatory. I decided that it was all self-explanatory. Just somebody that knows a little bit of physics and knows some MATLAB. They could tell exactly what was going on there. There were no tricks or hidden stuff. In some sense, all this is in the background, but I'm not going to explain that whole thing, and you don't have to. It's where you do something that would make somebody looking at your code say, I wonder why he's doing that. Here it's pretty obvious. They've derived some formula for v2, and now they're assigning a value to v2 using that formula. Alright, so here we go. Must be, okay, if you got a graph, the graph has to be titled. I remember doing that. Each axis has to be titled. Each title must include the name of what's being plotted. The unit should be included in square brackets as opposed to parentheses, so that units don't look like the argument of a function. You must provide attribution in your main function. You must include a comment giving. We only have one function, so our one function is our main function, giving attribution to whatever resource you use to write your program. So, say so. And I want you to tell a story. And don't just write down exactly what I wrote down. Alright. Wait. I think we got this thing covered. I guess I'm going to close the graph. I'm going to run this baby one more time. Just in case. Since I was messing around with it, just make sure I didn't. Oh, that was the help thing. So plot v2. It makes the graph appear. The graph looks right. Printed nothing to the screen. I'm going to call that a wrap for project 3, video number 3.